The massive starship New Horizon dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Andromeda sector, its hull gleaming silver against the backdrop of distant stars. Ambassador Kate Morrison stood on the bridge watching the view screen as their destination came into view. The Galactic Council station stretched across space like a crystalline city, its towers and domes connected by graceful bridges that sparkled with alien lights. Behind her, Colonel Jake Harrison checked his tactical display one final time. The human escort fleet maintained perfect formation around their diplomatic vessel. 6 heavy cruisers, 12 destroyers, and countless smaller ships created a protective shell that would make any hostile force think twice before attacking. Each ship bristled with weapon systems, missile pods, and defensive barriers that could turn space itself into a killing field. Dr. Lisa Parker joined them at the observation deck, her tablet filled with cultural notes about the species they were about to meet. She had spent years studying alien languages and customs, preparing for this moment when humanity would finally take its place among the stars. The weight of representing her entire species pressed down on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. Communication console crackled to life with an incoming transmission. The image that appeared showed a tall, graceful being with pale blue skin and large, gentle eyes. This was Zethkar of the Valari, one of the most respected diplomats in the known galaxy. His voice carried a musical quality that made even simple words sound like poetry. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Zethkar, speaking for the Galactic Council. We have prepared quarters for your delegation and look forward to learning about your species." His tone was warm and welcoming, but Kate noticed something else beneath the surface. Confusion, perhaps even concern. "Thank you, Zethkar. I am Ambassador Kate Morrison, representing the United Earth Government. We are honored by this opportunity to join the galactic community." Kate kept her voice steady and professional, though. Her heart raced with excitement and nervousness. As the New Horizon approached the docking bay, Kate could see alien ships of every shape and size. Some looked like living creatures with organic curves and flowing lines. Others resembled geometric crystals or abstract art pieces that defied conventional understanding of spaceship design. What struck her most was how peaceful they appeared. No visible weapons, no armor plating, no defensive systems of any kind. The docking procedure went smoothly, and soon Kate found herself walking through corridors that seemed to be grown rather than built. The walls pulsed with soft bioluminescent patterns, and the air smelled of flowers and rain. Everything about this place spoke of peace, harmony, and advanced civilization that had moved beyond the need for conflict. The main conference chamber took Kate's breath away. The ceiling stretched impossibly high, filled with holographic representations of countless star systems. Delegates from dozens of species sat around a circular table that seemed to be made from condensed starlight itself. Each being was more alien than the last, yet all shared an aura of calm wisdom. Zethkar gestured for the human delegation to take their seats. As they did, Kate noticed the other delegates studying them with expressions she couldn't quite read. Some seemed curious, others appeared worried, and a few looked almost afraid. "Before we begin formal proceedings," Zethkar said, his musical voice filling the chamber, "we must address a matter of significant concern. Your arrival has raised questions among the council members." A new voice spoke from across the table. This came from Vexana, a Thyrany researcher whose crystalline body refracted light into rainbow patterns. Her words carried the weight of scientific authority. "In our 1,000 years of maintaining this council, no species has ever arrived for diplomatic contact with such extensive military preparation." Kate felt the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. This was not how she had expected the meeting to begin. "I'm not sure I understand your concern. These are standard diplomatic protocols for humanity." "Standard?" Another delegate spoke up, This one belonged to a species Kate didn't recognize, with multiple arms and eyes that glowed like amber. Your escort fleet could level a small moon. Your personal guards carry enough firepower to penetrate battle armor. Even your diplomatic vessel mounts weapon systems that most of our worlds have never seen. Colonel Harrison shifted slightly. In his chair, his hand unconsciously moving toward his sidearm before he caught himself. Old habits from a lifetime of military service were hard to break. "Ma'am, if I may," he said to Kate, who nodded her permission. "Humans have learned that it's better to be prepared and not need protection than to need it and not have it." But prepared for what? Zethkar's gentle eyes held genuine confusion. The galaxy has been at peace for centuries. Most civilized species evolved beyond warfare long ago. We resolve our differences through discussion, compromise, and mutual understanding. Dr. Lisa Parker consulted her tablet, pulling up files she had hoped not to need so early in the negotiations. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding about human nature and history. We don't come seeking conflict, but our development as a species has taught us to always be ready for unexpected threats. What threats? Vexana's crystalline form pulsed with brighter light, a sign of increased interest among her people. Our surveys of your solar system show no hostile species within several hundred light years. Your planet faces no external dangers that would require such military preparedness. Kate exchanged glances with her colleagues. How could she explain human paranoia to beings who had never known true danger? How could she make them understand that for humans, peace was not a natural state, but something that had to be constantly defended? The concern, Zethkar continued, is that a species which approaches diplomacy with such overwhelming force might not be suitable for membership in our peaceful community. The Council has voted to postpone your application until we can better understand why humans feel the need to be so heavily armed. The words hit Kate like a physical blow. Postponed. After years of preparation. After humanity's dreams of joining the galactic community, they were being turned away because they had committed the crime of being too well prepared for trouble. "Mean no disrespect," Kate said carefully, "but human history has taught us that the universe can be a dangerous place. We arm ourselves not because we seek violence, but because we have learned that those who cannot defend themselves often become victims of those who would do them harm." "But what could possibly threaten you now?" another delegate asked. "You have achieved faster-than-light travel, mastered nuclear energy, and developed artificial intelligence. Surely your species has evolved beyond the need for such primitive concerns as physical combat." Kate looked around the table at faces that had never known war, never experienced invasion, never faced extinction. These beings had grown up in a galaxy where the strongest military force was a police unit designed to break up minor disputes between trading partners. They couldn't comprehend a species that had clawed its way up from a world where everything was trying to kill them. "I believe," Kate said slowly, "that there are some fundamental differences between human development and that of other species in this council. With your permission, I would like to present a complete picture of human history and the reasons behind our current military posture." Zethkar consulted with the other delegates through some form of silent communication before nodding. "Very well, Ambassador Morrison. The Council will hear your explanation, but understand that the future of human membership in our community depends on your ability to convince us that your species can coexist peacefully with others." Kate nodded grimly. She had not expected to be defending humanity's right to exist among the stars, but that was exactly what she now had to do. Dr. Lisa Parker stood at the center of the conference chamber as holographic displays materialized around her. The alien delegates leaned forward in their seats, their various forms of eyes and sensory organs focused on the images that began to appear in the air above the starlight table. Kate Morrison watched nervously as Lisa prepared to reveal the truth about human civilization to beings who had never known warfare. The first image showed primitive humans huddled around fires in dark caves. Their faces were marked by scars, and their eyes held the constant wariness of prey animals. Lisa's voice was steady and clinical as she began her presentation. Human civilization began approximately 12,000 years ago, but our species has been fighting for survival for much longer than that. The hologram shifted to show early human settlements surrounded by wooden walls and armed guards. From our earliest days, humans have faced constant threats. Wild animals that could tear us apart with their claws and teeth. Other human tribes competing for the same limited resources. Weather patterns that could kill entire communities in a single storm. Zethkar's musical voice interrupted gently. Many species face similar challenges in their primitive stages. This is natural for developing civilizations. Yes, Lisa replied, but most species overcome these challenges and move toward peace. Humans never got that chance. The hologram expanded to show a timeline stretching across thousands of years. Red markers appeared at regular intervals, each one representing a major conflict. In our recorded history alone, humans have fought over 15,000 wars. A collective gasp went through the assembled delegates. Vexana's crystalline body dimmed as she processed this information. 15,000 conflicts? That seems impossible for a single species to survive. Not only did we survive, Colonel Harrison spoke from his seat. We got better at it each time. His voice carried the weight of a career soldier who had seen too much combat. Every war taught us new ways to fight, new weapons to build, new strategies to employ against our enemies. The holographic display showed the progression of human warfare technology. Stone axes gave way to bronze swords, which evolved into steel blades, then gunpowder weapons, and finally advanced firearms that could kill from incredible distances. Each innovation was bloodier and more efficient than the last. Your species weaponized everything, whispered a delegate whose translator made their voice sound like wind through leaves. Metal, chemicals, even the power of the atom itself. Lisa nodded grimly. Humans have a saying, if you can hold it, you can use it as a weapon. We learned to turn farming tools into instruments of war. We discovered how to make explosives from common household materials. We even found ways to use our own environment against our enemies. The display showed images of castle sieges where humans used fire and disease as weapons. It showed naval battles where they turned wooden ships into floating fortresses. It showed aerial combat where they transformed peaceful flying machines into death-dealing monsters of the sky. But surely, Zethkar said, his gentle nature struggling to comprehend what he was seeing, your species eventually learned that cooperation was more beneficial than conflict. We tried, Kate Morrison answered. Many times throughout our history, humans attempted to create lasting peace. We established rules of war, formed international organizations, and signed countless treaties. The hologram showed diplomatic meetings and peace ceremonies, but something always went wrong. The display shifted to show the two great wars that had consumed Earth in the 20th century. Entire continents became battlefields where millions of humans died in conflicts that lasted for years. Cities were reduced to rubble, populations were displaced, and weapons were created that could poison the land for generations. These wars killed more humans than had died in all previous conflicts combined, Lisa explained. But instead of learning to avoid war, humans learned to fight bigger wars more efficiently. Colonel Harrison stood and walked to the holographic display. With a gesture, he highlighted specific battles and strategies. Human military thinking is different from what you might expect. We don't just prepare to fight the enemy we can see. We prepare to fight enemies we haven't met yet, using weapons that haven't been invented yet, in situations that haven't happened yet. That level of paranoia seems unhealthy for a developing species, observed another delegate. It's not paranoia. If someone really is trying to kill you, Harrison replied. And throughout human history, someone always has been. He manipulated the display to show a map of Earth covered in military bases, weapons stockpiles, and defensive installations. Even during our most peaceful periods, humans maintained armies, built weapons, and planned for the next war. The alien delegates were clearly struggling to understand this concept. Their own species had developed past the need for constant military readiness centuries or even millennia ago. The idea that an entire civilization could be built around the assumption of perpetual conflict was alien to their experience. Dr. Parker brought up new images showing human technological advancement. The interesting thing about human warfare is how it drives innovation. Most of our greatest technological breakthroughs came from military research. The internet, satellite communication, advanced materials, even space travel itself. All of these were originally developed for military purposes. You mean your species reached the stars because you were trying to find better ways to kill each other? Vexana's light patterns showed what could only be described as horror. Essentially, yes, Lisa confirmed. Rockets were originally designed as weapons. Computers were built to calculate artillery trajectories. Our entire space program began as a way to deliver nuclear weapons to any point on Earth within minutes. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. These beings had achieved spaceflight through scientific curiosity and the desire to explore. Humans had reached for the stars because they wanted to rain death from above on their enemies with greater precision. Show them the nuclear weapons, Colonel Harrison said quietly. Lisa hesitated, then brought up footage of atomic bomb tests. The mushroom clouds rose like miniature suns, vaporizing everything within miles of the explosion. The alien delegates recoiled as they watched cities disappear in blinding flashes of light. Humans created weapons that could destroy entire planets, Lisa explained, and we built thousands of them. For decades, our world lived under the constant threat that someone might push a button and end all human civilization in a single afternoon. How did your species survive with such destructive power? Asked a delegate whose voice sounded like music played on crystal chimes. Very carefully, Kate Morrison replied. We developed something called mutually assured destruction. Everyone had enough weapons to kill everyone else, so no one dared to use them. That's insane, Zethkar breathed. That's human, Colonel Harrison corrected. We stared into the abyss of our own extinction and decided to use that fear to keep ourselves alive. It worked, after a fashion. The holographic display showed modern human military forces. Soldiers in advanced armor carrying weapons that could level buildings. Spacecraft bristling with enough firepower to crack moons. Defensive systems that could track and destroy threats moving at significant fractions of light speed. This is what you see when you look at us, Kate said to the assembled council. A species so violent and militaristic that we bring weapons to diplomatic meetings. A civilization so paranoid that we assume every stranger might be an enemy. The alien. Delegates sat in stunned silence, trying to process what they had learned. These humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. Where other civilizations had grown beyond warfare, humans had refined it into an art form. Where others had learned to trust, humans had learned to prepare for betrayal. Zethkar finally found his voice. Ambassador Morrison, I must ask directly. If we allow humans into our peaceful community, how can we be certain that your species won't bring this violence with you? Ambassador Kate Morrison looked around the conference chamber at the faces of beings who now viewed humanity as a dangerous aberration in the galaxy. The silence stretched uncomfortably as the alien delegates processed the violent history they had just witnessed. She could see fear in their eyes, disgust in their postures, and judgment in their telepathic communications that buzzed just beyond human hearing. "Zethkar," Kate said quietly, "you asked if humans would bring violence to your peaceful community. Before I answer that question, I need you to understand something fundamental about my species that goes much deeper than warfare." She paused and looked directly at each delegate in turn. "You've seen our history of conflict, but you haven't seen why we became this way." Dr. Lisa Parker stepped forward again, her hands working quickly across her tablet to access classified files that required special authorization codes. "What I'm about to show you has been restricted information in human databases. We've never shared this data with anyone outside our own species because we weren't sure how other civilizations would react." The holographic display above the starlight. Tables shimmered and changed. Instead of showing human armies and weapons, it now displayed a blue and green planet spinning slowly in space. Earth looked peaceful and beautiful from this distance, with white clouds swirling across vast oceans and green continents. "This is our home world," Lisa began. "To most observers, it appears to be a garden planet capable of supporting abundant life. But appearances can be deceiving." The image zoomed closer to show the planet's surface in greater detail. Earth is what xenobiologists classify as a death world. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The term death world was known throughout the galaxy, but such planets were considered too dangerous for intelligent life to evolve beyond primitive stages. "Your planet classifications must be incorrect," Vexana interjected, her crystalline form pulsing with skeptical light patterns. "No species could develop advanced civilization on a genuine death world." "That's what most people think," Lisa replied. "But Earth has experienced 5 major extinction events in its geological history. Each one killed between 70 and 96% of all life on the planet." The hologram showed a timeline stretching back millions of years, with massive red zones marking each extinction event. The chamber fell silent again as the delegates absorbed this information. On their peaceful home worlds, the worst natural disasters might affect a small region for a brief time. The idea of planet-wide extinction events was almost incomprehensible. The most recent major extinction occurred 66 million years ago, Lisa continued. "A massive asteroid struck Earth with the force of billions of nuclear weapons. It threw so much debris into the atmosphere that sunlight was blocked for months. Temperatures dropped worldwide and most plants died. Without plants, the animals that ate them starved. Without plant-eating animals, the meat-eaters had nothing to hunt." Colonel Harrison stood and gestured to the holographic timeline. "But life on Earth didn't just face extinction from space rocks. Our planet itself tries to kill everything on it on a regular basis." The display showed cross-sections of Earth's interior, revealing massive tectonic plates that moved and crashed into each other with devastating force. "Earthquakes that can level cities happen somewhere on Earth almost every day," Harrison explained. "Volcanic eruptions that can change global weather patterns. Mountain ranges that rise up and block weather systems, creating deserts where forests once grew. Our planet's surface is constantly changing, and life has to adapt or die." The hologram shifted to show weather patterns across Earth's surface. Massive spiral storms that could destroy entire coastal regions. Tornado systems that could flatten anything in their path. Blizzards that could freeze exposed humans to death in minutes. Hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones, Lisa listed. Floods that can wash away cities. Droughts that can turn fertile land into wasteland. Ice ages that lock most of the planet in frozen death for thousands of years. Earth doesn't just host life. It constantly tests whether that life deserves to survive. A delegate whose species resembled living coral spoke in a voice like ocean waves. "Surely intelligent life would develop technology to protect itself from such natural disasters?" "We tried," Kate answered. But Earth had more surprises waiting for us. The display showed human cities being destroyed by earthquakes, coastal areas disappearing under tsunami waves, and entire civilizations collapsing when volcanic winters destroyed their crops for years at a time. The thing you have to understand, Colonel Harrison said, is that humans didn't develop military technology because we wanted to fight each other. We developed it because our planet demanded that we become stronger, smarter, and more adaptable than anything that came before us. The hologram showed early humans fleeing from massive predators with claws and teeth designed for killing. It showed them hiding from volcanic eruptions and ice storms. It showed them competing with other species for the limited safe spaces where life could survive Earth's constant attempts at planetary sterilization. Every human survival instinct that you see as paranoia or aggression was actually developed as a response to environmental pressure, Dr. Parker explained. We learned to work in groups because lone individuals couldn't survive. We learned to make weapons because we were surrounded by creatures that could kill us with their bare hands. We learned to plan for disasters because disasters happened so frequently that the unprepared simply died. Zethkar's gentle voice carried a note of dawning understanding. You're saying that human militarization is an evolutionary adaptation to surviving on a death world? Exactly, Kate confirmed. When your species developed intelligence, you were able to move beyond primitive survival concerns because your worlds were stable and safe. When humans developed intelligence, we used it to become better at surviving on a planet that was actively trying to kill us every single day. The display showed more data about Earth's hostile environment. Radiation, levels that would be lethal to most galactic species. Atmospheric pressure that could crush beings adapted to lighter gravity. Temperature variations that ranged from freezing death to boiling heat across different regions of the same planet. Your species evolved in paradise, Lisa said to the assembled delegates. Stable climates, predictable weather, geological formations that remained unchanged for millions of years. You never had to develop the survival instincts that humans consider normal, because your environments never threatened your existence. But this still doesn't explain why humans continue to maintain such extensive military forces, another delegate pointed out. If these are responses to environmental pressures, surely they would diminish as your technology advanced? Colonel Harrison smiled grimly. That's where you're wrong. Earth taught us that no matter how advanced you become, no matter how safe you think you are, something unexpected will always be waiting to test whether you deserve to survive. He manipulated the holographic display to show recent human history. Even after we developed space travel and nuclear power, Earth continued to surprise us. Asteroid near misses that could have ended human civilization. Supervolcanic activity that could plunge our world into another ice age. Solar flares that could destroy all our electronic systems and send us back to the Stone Age overnight. The alien delegates stared at the data in growing amazement. Their own species had achieved interstellar travel by following predictable scientific principles on stable worlds. The idea that a species could reach the same level of technology while constantly fighting for survival against their own planet was almost unbelievable. You mean humans achieved spaceflight while living under constant threat of planetary extinction? Vexana's crystalline form brightened with what could only be described as awe. We achieved spaceflight because we lived under constant threat of planetary extinction, Kate corrected. Every human technological advancement was driven by the knowledge that if we didn't become stronger and smarter, we would join the countless other species that Earth has already killed. The chamber fell silent as the delegates began to understand the truth about humanity. These weren't violent barbarians who chose warfare over peace. These were survivors of the most hostile environment any known species had ever called home. Their weapons and military preparations weren't signs of aggression. They were proof that life could not only survive, but thrive under the most impossible conditions. Ambassador Kate Morrison watched the alien delegates process what they had learned about Earth's hostile environment. She could see their perspectives shifting as they began to understand that human militarization wasn't born from aggression, but from necessity. However, she knew the most important revelation was still to come. The classified files in her possession contained information that would change everything the galactic community thought they knew about the universe. "There's more," Kate said quietly, her voice carrying a weight that made every being in the chamber focus their attention on her. "What I've shown you about Earth's natural dangers explains much about human development, but it doesn't explain everything." She paused and looked directly at Zethkar. "There's a reason why humans remain so heavily armed even after achieving interstellar travel." Dr. Lisa Parker activated another set of classified files, these ones requiring authorization codes from Earth's highest military commanders. The holographic display above them shifted to show star charts and astronomical data that few humans had ever been permitted to see. "Our solar system exists in what galactic cartographers call the Orion Arm," Lisa began, highlighting Earth's position on a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. "Most inhabited worlds that we know of exist in the inner spiral arms, where stellar density is higher and cosmic radiation is filtered by surrounding star systems." Colonel Harrison stepped forward and manipulated the display to show radiation patterns and cosmic phenomena. "Earth sits near the outer edge of our spiral arm, exposed to higher levels of cosmic radiation, more frequent asteroid impacts, and gravitational anomalies that most civilized worlds never experience." Vexana's crystalline body pulsed with analytical light patterns. "This would explain why your planet experiences more natural disasters than most inhabited worlds. But surely advanced technology could compensate for such environmental factors." "Under normal circumstances, yes," Kate replied. "But our situation is far from normal." She activated the most classified files in the human database, information that had been restricted to only the highest levels of Earth's government and military. "What I'm about to show you has been kept secret from the general human population for security reasons." The holographic display changed to show ancient archaeological sites on Earth, stone structures that defied conventional understanding of primitive human capabilities, artifacts made from materials that shouldn't exist according to known physics, cave paintings that depicted beings from the stars engaging in battles with early humans. For the past 50 years, human archaeologists have been uncovering evidence that challenges everything we thought we knew about our own history, Lisa explained. These discoveries were classified because they suggested that Earth had been visited by extraterrestrial civilizations long before humans developed space travel. The assembled delegates leaned forward with renewed interest. First contact scenarios were well documented throughout galactic history, but usually involved advanced civilizations making peaceful contact with primitive species to guide their development. At first, we assumed these were benevolent contact. Kate continued. Ancient astronaut theories suggested that aliens had helped humans develop agriculture, metallurgy, and other early technologies. But as we uncovered more evidence, a different picture began to emerge. The display showed weapon fragments made from alloys that human science was only beginning to understand, blast patterns in ancient rock formations that suggested the use of energy weapons far beyond anything humans possessed until recently, genetic markers in human DNA that indicated repeated population bottlenecks caused by external pressures. The evidence suggests that Earth has been invaded multiple times throughout human history, Colonel Harrison stated bluntly. What our ancestors described as gods, demons, and monsters from the sky were actually hostile extraterrestrial forces that viewed Earth as either a resource to be exploited or a threat to be eliminated. A collective gasp went through the alien delegates. The idea that primitive humans had faced and survived multiple alien invasions was almost incomprehensible. Most species only encountered other civilizations after achieving interstellar travel themselves. The mythological records of every human culture contain stories of wars between humans and beings from the stars, Lisa continued. The Greek Titans, the Norse Ragnarok, the Hindu Asura wars, the Mesopotamian conflicts between gods and mortals. We always assumed these were symbolic stories, but the archaeological evidence suggests they were historical records of actual battles. Zethkar's musical voice carried disbelief. You're saying that primitive humans fought wars against spacefaring civilizations and won? Not one, Kate corrected, survived. Each invasion was followed by a period of rapid human technological and cultural advancement. We didn't defeat our attackers through superior technology. We outlasted them through sheer stubborn refusal to surrender or die. The holographic display showed battle sites where primitive human weapons had been found, alongside fragments of advanced alien technology. Stone spears designed specifically for piercing energy armor, fortifications built to withstand weapons that fired beams of coherent light, battle formations that could only have been developed through experience fighting enemies with superior mobility and firepower. Each invasion taught humanity new lessons about warfare and survival, Colonel Harrison explained. We learned to use our environment as a weapon. We learned to turn enemy technology against its creators. Most importantly, we learned that no matter how advanced or powerful an enemy might be, they could be defeated if we were willing to pay a high enough price. This is why human military doctrine seems so paranoid to outsiders, Kate added. We don't just prepare to fight enemies we can see. We prepare to fight enemies we haven't encountered yet, using tactics developed through thousands of years of defending our world against superior forces. The display shifted to show more recent evidence. Crashed vessels buried deep in Earth's ice caps that human technology was only now advanced enough to detect. Energy signatures in remote locations that suggested ongoing alien activity. Disappearances and unexplained phenomena that government agencies had been investigating and covering up for decades. The invasions didn't stop when humans developed modern technology, Lisa revealed. They became more subtle. Instead of open warfare, we began facing covert operations, abduction campaigns, and infiltration attempts. Human military preparedness isn't just about defending against known threats. It's about defending against enemies that have been studying us for millennia. A delegate whose species resembled living metal spoke in a voice like distant thunder. If Earth has been under constant alien threat, why haven't these invasions been detected by galactic monitoring systems? Because they're not coming from known galactic civilizations, Kate answered. The evidence suggests that Earth's attackers come from outside our galaxy, or from regions of space that haven't been mapped by the Galactic Council. They use technology and tactics that don't match any known species in our databases. The chamber fell into stunned silence as the implications became clear. While the galactic community had enjoyed centuries of peace and cooperation, humans had been fighting a secret war against unknown enemies at the edge of explored space. Every human military advancement, every weapon system, every defensive strategy has been developed in response to actual combat experience against extraterrestrial threats. Colonel Harrison continued. We don't maintain heavy armaments because we're violent. We maintain them because we're the only species in known space that has been forced to develop effective defenses against enemies that the rest of the galaxy doesn't even know exist. Dr. Parker brought up the most recent classified reports. Our intelligence suggests that these invasions are increasing in frequency and sophistication. Whatever force has been testing Earth's defenses for thousands of years appears to be preparing for a major offensive. This is why humanity seeks membership in the Galactic Council, not to bring war to your peaceful community, but to warn you that the war may be coming whether you want it or not. Vexana's crystalline form dimmed as she processed this information. You're saying that humans have been serving as an unknowing defensive barrier between hostile forces and the rest of galactic civilization? For thousands of years, Kate confirmed. While your species developed art, philosophy, and advanced technology in peaceful environments, humans have been standing guard at the galaxy's edge, fighting battles against enemies that would devastate civilizations unprepared for warfare. The revelation hung in the air like a physical presence. The alien delegates sat in shocked silence, realizing that their peaceful galaxy had been protected by a species they had almost rejected for being too militaristic. The very qualities that had made them question humanity's fitness for galactic society were the same qualities that had kept the galaxy safe from threats they never knew existed. The silence in the conference chamber stretched for what felt like hours as the alien delegates absorbed the shocking truth about humanity's secret war. Ambassador Kate Morrison watched their faces change from confusion to understanding to something that looked remarkably like awe. The holographic displays still showed evidence of ancient battles and mysterious enemies, but now these images carried a completely different meaning. Zethkar was the first to break the silence, his musical voice subdued with emotion. Ambassador Morrison, are you telling us that while our civilizations have enjoyed peace and prosperity for centuries, your species has been fighting to protect not just your own world, but potentially all of galactic civilization? We didn't know we were protecting anyone else, Kate replied honestly. We thought we were just trying to survive. Each invasion seemed like an isolated threat to Earth alone. It wasn't until we developed interstellar communication and began studying galactic history that we realized how unusual our situation was. Dr. Lisa Parker manipulated the holographic display to show comparative data between Earth and other inhabited worlds. When we first detected signals from galactic civilizations, we expected to find species with military capabilities similar to our own. Instead, we found worlds that had never experienced warfare, never faced extinction-level threats, and never developed the defensive technologies that humans consider basic necessities. Vexana's crystalline form pulsed with rapid light patterns. That indicated intense analytical activity. A mathematical probability of Earth being the only world targeted by these hostile forces is virtually zero. If they have the capability to mount repeated invasions across galactic distances, they must have encountered other civilizations. That's what worries us, Colonel Harrison said grimly. Either these enemies have been systematically eliminating other species before they could develop adequate defenses, or Earth's location at the galaxy's edge makes it the first line of contact with whatever hostile force exists beyond our known space. A delegate whose species resembled living coral spoke in a voice like ocean waves. If this threat is real, why haven't our deep space monitoring systems detected any signs of hostile activity? Because you've been looking in the wrong direction, Kate answered. Your monitoring systems are designed to detect threats from within known galactic space. These enemies appear to come from outside our galaxy entirely, using routes and technologies that bypass conventional detection methods. The implications of this statement sent ripples of concern through the assembled delegates. Their entire understanding of galactic security was based on the assumption that all major threats would come from known space, using familiar technology. And following predictable patterns, Dr. Parker brought up new data showing energy signatures and gravitational anomalies that human scientists had detected near Earth's solar system. Our most recent intelligence suggests that these hostile forces are preparing for a major offensive. The frequency of reconnaissance missions has increased dramatically over the past 50 years. Whatever they've been planning, it appears to be reaching a critical phase. Which brings us to why humanity seeks membership in the Galactic Council, Kate continued. We're not asking to join your peaceful community. because we want to abandon our defensive responsibilities. We're asking to join because we need your help to prepare for what's coming." Zethkar leaned forward in his seat, his gentle eyes now filled with determination rather than concern. "What kind of help are you requesting?" "Information sharing." "Primarily," Colonel Harrison replied. "Human military technology has been developed through trial and error against unknown enemies. Your civilizations possess scientific knowledge and manufacturing capabilities that could help us develop more effective defensive systems. We also need to establish early warning networks," Lisa added. "If these enemies are planning a major invasion, they'll need to cross through inhabited space to reach Earth. With proper sensor networks in place, we could detect their approach and coordinate a defensive response." A delegate whose species had multiple glowing eyes spoke in a voice like distant music. "You're asking us to prepare for war against enemies we've never seen, using weapons we've never needed, to defend against threats we don't understand. We're asking you to help us protect something that belongs to all of us," Kate corrected. "The peace and prosperity that your civilizations have enjoyed for centuries exists because hostile forces haven't been able to penetrate past Earth's defenses. If we fall, that peace ends for everyone." The chamber fell silent again as the delegates considered this perspective. They had viewed humanity's military preparations as evidence of primitive barbarism, but now they understood these same preparations were the only thing standing between their peaceful worlds and an unknown enemy that had been testing galactic defenses for millennia. Vexana's crystalline form brightened as she reached a conclusion. "The evidence suggests that humanity's survival instincts and combat experience make them uniquely qualified to coordinate galactic defense efforts. No other known species has the tactical knowledge or military infrastructure necessary to face this threat. More than that," added another delegate, "humans have proven that these enemies can be defeated. Every invasion has been repelled. Every attack has been survived. This species has demonstrated that superior technology doesn't guarantee victory if the defenders are willing to sacrifice everything to protect their home." Zethkar stood slowly, his graceful form radiating newfound respect. "I must apologize, Ambassador Morrison. When we first saw your heavily armed fleet and military preparations, we assumed you were a violent species that would disrupt our peaceful community. Now I understand that you are guardians who have been protecting that peace without recognition or support." "We didn't do it for recognition," Kate replied. "We did it because it was necessary for survival. But now that we know other civilizations exist, we have a responsibility to share what we've learned. The Council will need to vote on humanity's membership application," Zethkar continued. "But I believe I can speak for most delegates when I say that we would be honored to have humans join our community. More than that, we would be honored to support humanity's defensive efforts in any way possible." Dr. Parker smiled for the first time since the presentation began. "There's something else to consider. Human defensive strategies have always been reactive. We wait for attacks and then respond. With galactic cooperation, we could develop proactive defenses that might deter these enemies entirely." "You mean we could stop fighting and start preventing fights?" Colonel Harrison asked, his soldier's instincts immediately grasping the strategic implications. "Exactly. Combined human military experience with alien scientific knowledge could create defensive systems that make invasion attempts too costly to attempt. Instead of winning wars, we could prevent them from starting." The alien delegates began talking among themselves in their various languages and communication methods. Kate could sense the shift in their attitudes, where once they had seen humans as a potential threat to galactic peace, they now saw them as essential protectors of that peace. Zethkar called for formal order, and the chamber fell silent. The Galactic Council will now vote on humanity's application for membership. All those in favor of accepting Earth as a full member of our community? Every delegate in the chamber raised their hands, tentacles, or other appendages in unanimous approval. The vote wasn't even close. It was universal. Furthermore, Zethkar continued, the Council wishes to offer humanity a position as Director of Galactic Defense, with full authority to coordinate defensive preparations across all member worlds. Kate felt tears forming in her eyes as she realized what this meant. Humanity would not only be accepted into the galactic community, but would be trusted with its protection. After thousands of years of fighting alone, they would finally have allies. On behalf of all humanity, she said, I accept both offers. We will work with you to build a defense network that protects every world in known space. And we will share everything we've learned about surviving against impossible odds. As the formal ceremonies concluded and the delegates began making plans for the future, Kate looked out at the stars through the chamber's transparent walls. Somewhere out there, hostile forces were still planning their next move. But for the first time in human history, Earth wouldn't be facing them alone.